And he was shot in the back 7 times. And he took off his shirt and showed me his back and said, "Do you want this to happen to you?" And I looked at him and said, "That's not going to happen to me." And he said to me, "Vietnam's going to make you cry for your mother." And that part did come true.
And they attached 2 carloads of Army draftees next to 1 carload of Marine recruits. And we got into pillow fights that night, going on the way down to Washington.
I mean, these guys were sadistic.
It was 8 weeks, if I recall correctly, Parris Island. And it was intense from the get-go.
It was shock treatment from the time you stepped off of that bus until you stepped back on that bus to leave the island.
The guy got on the bus, I saw a Smokey the Bear hat, and he said, "Got 3 motherfuckers on this bus who think they're gonna be Marines. Well, you got 3 fucking seconds to get off of this bus." And there were women and children and everything on this bus. I said, "Oh no." So when I got to the front of the bus and stepped down, he was standing outside, and he said, "On the ground, faggot," like that. And for the next 3 days, we crawled everywhere we went.
Caught the bus, woke up next morning, I'm there, you know what I mean? No big thing. I then had these fools hollering at me like they was out of their mind. Oh man, that was a bummer.
We're talking, we're introducing ourselves and so on, and I met up with a guy who was from West Virginia, and he had he was an older guy. He seemed like to me he was 22.
I remember the Cubans. There was a lot of Hispanics, you know, different nationalities, and blacks, and a real mixture of ethnic and you know, it seemed like minorities seemed to be overrepresented.
I ran into a guy from West Virginia who had never seen a black person before. And it really, I guess it took him out, because after graduation he told me, you know, when he said, he explained to me that he had never seen a black person before where he come from. And he said, we were all right.
I was surprised that they seemed so much the same. Okay, where they were from.
They had a sign up there that said, over most of the doorways, and the sign said, "Let it never be said." Oh, it said, "Let no man's ghost ever say, if the drill instructors had only done their jobs." And they were as thorough as any individuals I've ever encountered in my life.
And they're actually very kind to you, because they have an ace up their sleeve. They're going to shock the shit out of you in a minute. And then after a week of this processing and getting shots and, you know, getting your dog tags made and all of that kind of stuff, then you're put on a bus to go to, you get your uniforms and you're put on a bus to go to the your unit, your platoon, where your training is actually going to begin.
The real punishment hadn't begun until we got our drill instructor assigned.
And you're made to understand that physical pain is going to be the thing that you're going to feel until you shape up, because you ain't shit.
This is when we were finally in a platoon. Empty trash can went down the squad bay, just banging and clanging. They were yelling, "Wake the fuck up, get the fuck out of them racks," and shit. I never heard so much cursing in my life and shit. It was nuts. I mean, we were just standing there in white shorts and white t-shirts, and they were in our faces, this far from our faces, calling us every name in the book. And I remember looking out the window at night, sleeping in bed. How the fuck did I get myself into this? I couldn't believe it.
You know, a lot of howling and screaming, and you know, all the lights are all real bright, you know, but it's completely dark outside, you know, when you get up in the morning.
And then after that little, after they roused you out of bed, they gave you 2 minutes to be dressed have both them racks made, and have your behinds out there on the road ready to go out there and run.
It was crazy because they go head call, and then you'd have 60 guys, 65, 60, 70 guys, all trying to go to the bathroom in 4 shitters.
And they have these bathrooms where you sit across from a guy and you bump knees, you know, sitting on the toilet.
You're sitting there trying to take a shit. There's like 5 people in line behind you, in front of you going, hurry up, man, hurry up. I remember I didn't shit for 5 days.
And then suddenly to have all the gentleness and humaneness that you've spent 18 or 19 years learning, now suddenly, over the next 8 weeks, you're going to be told to disregard all of that and to prepare to learn how to kill other human beings and as a business.
And I was not exactly Johnny Weissmuller. I couldn't do a pull-up and all that kind of stuff. And while I could run, I hardly was ready to run with 60 pound of gear and a rifle, 12-pound rifle, 14 pound, running around for 3 miles.
I was always up for the challenge of the physical. Always solid, you know, 5', 6.5", 170 pounds, like a rock.
It was brutal. The first 4 weeks, 5 weeks were